It is 6:30 on Wednesday, 26th.
26.
But it's actually 7:30 because we're still stuck in Central Time, so we're just operating Eastern Time.
Right.
So we had breakfast, and we are now going to get some fuel in the truck and drive back. What?
I just wanted to make sure you didn't have a fuel tank on your side.
Ah, I have a fuel tank. I thought I saw a lid. I'm pretty sure I know what a fuel tank looks like. So we stayed at where's the sign? I'm going.
See, I got one on my side too. I don't know which one we have still up.
I don't know.
Maybe both.
I don't know. We stayed at La Quinta in South Milwaukee. It was nice. It did everything that you want a room to do. We had breakfast. It was us two. One lady who looked like she was in her late 70s, and a dozen guys wearing safety yellow vests. That was clearly the first wave of people. All right, so we are like 4 hours of drive time away from the lab. We'll see what that actually turns into. Not that we're taking our time, but there's a Chicago in the middle in the morning. Nah.
That's an interesting system.
It's a not uncommon system in larger cities. It, in theory, makes it so that there's enough room for you to come in because the on-ramp is pretty short. And then we'll have to immediately hop into the next lane left. So basically we take this until it says welcome to Chicago. And I think we're going around the bottom of the city. I'll check that. There was the La Quinta that we stayed at, and there was the IKEA that we visited. Justly concludes our adventures in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. Official on the road start time is 7:13 Central Time, 8:13 Eastern. So that's the route that we're taking. Says it's going to be 4 hours of driving time. Are you ready?
Totes ready.
Totes ready?
Let's do it.
I think you should comment if you believe Batman at this moment. Not that I would ever doubt you,
Right.
but you don't look super awake. So when we were at the hotel, they had those little brochure racks.
Yeah.
And I was super curious as to what sort of attractions were available to us.
Yeah.
And I found this sweet brochure on stuff we could do at Wisconsin Dells if we wanted to go in the exact opposite direction of where we are now.
That's where like you used to go to, right? The water.
Yeah, it's kind of in the middle of the state. It's where the biggest water park in the United States is, if I remember our trivia from yesterday.
Yeah.
It's kind of a halfway point between Minneapolis and Chicago. But they had a bunch of, you could go to Alligator Alley and feed live alligators, crocodiles, and snakes.
Fuck yeah.
That sounds kind of fun, actually.
Do that.
Yeah, me too.
You know, not too far from us in Michigan, there's actually a bear farm where we can go and feed little bears. Pet little bears. My brother's been through it a couple times.
That almost sounds like a zoo.
It's just a, like, dude just has a couple bears and you can come hang out with us with bear cubs.
I do that. As long as it's not a zoo. There's a lot of food in this here catalog. We could go mining for gold
All right.
in little pre-made boxes for you to dig through.
Oh. Sounds like a little kiddie activity.
It is very, very child geared. There's a ghost outpost haunted house. Oh, I remember this place. There's a Christmas store that's open year round.
They got their own Bronner's
Yeah.
esque store.
Yep.
Man,
I've been to Bronner's.
Bronner's is awesome. Mostly also because near Bronner's is, I can never remember the name of the restaurant, but the chicken, like king chicken.
The Ice House?
Huh?
The Ice House?
I don't think it's it.
Oh.
Is that it?
That's like the big place to eat there.
Yeah. I can never remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just know chicken. It's tasty.
We went there once with my German group of people to, you know, experience the German culture in Michigan. Oh, there's an escape room. Those seem to be a thing now.
They are very much so a thing now. Like, holy crap, they're everywhere.
When I was in Iceland, they were advertising them as a thing for people to do. And I found that such a weird thing. Like, if you're going to another country, and this was clearly advertised to tourists because it was on the little kiosk stuck between whale watching and icebergs.
Okay.
So this was not a local thing. So you're visiting another country, a country known for outdoor wildlife.
And you want to go trap yourself in a room.
Right. It just seemed bizarre.
There are people who are actually like traveling, like, oh, I like just doing escape rooms. Like it's a hobby now. They're trying out different areas, even though I'm sure they all probably use the same Pinterest links.
I have not done one, and I don't have an interest in it.
I used to play them online. Like they had them online forever. Back when there was like, you know, 5 video games online.
I played something kind of like that on a computer, but this was back when computers had 16 colors. And I totally don't remember the game, but I can very clearly see it in my head. And it was one of those where it was the system tags that would do. Oh, you have found a red herring.
It wasn't that long ago. I played it on a website that no longer exists, though, which makes me sad. It was called addictinggames.com. It was Crimson Room. It was just this, like, weird escape room game they made. It was like, it was very, very entertaining.
Jerry Smith Pumpkin and Produce Farm. I am amused that there's an ad for the hospital.
Come visit our hospital. Let's burn more around.
Well, it was an ad on right after the ad for the Noah's Ark water park.
Mars cheese cast.
Mars cheese. Oh my gosh. If I had noticed that, well, it looks like they're not open. Okay. It's like, man, if I had noticed that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, very much so.
Oh, there's a deer park.
We can see deer in Michigan. Don't even need a park for it. Oh,
I saw a deer yesterday.
Coming across U-Line and the Amazon.
Oh, right. So this was a giant Amazon building. On the other side is the U-Line building, but I don't like them, so I'm not sure to. So behind that Amazon building, there was another one that was the same size. So if we're right next to that, we've got to be pretty close to the border, aren't we?
I would think so.
Huh?
I would think so.
I seem to remember. Oh.
There was a deer there.
Yeah, we're a little bit. I figure since we didn't catch the sign last time of welcoming us to Illinois,
Right.
but I'd make sure that we welcomed us to Illinois this time. But it looks like we've got, I'm not really sure. You're in for the ride. Ooh, there's a wizard quest.
Wizard Quest. What are we doing on this road? Let's do it.
It literally tells me nothing except Wizard Quest. New quests.
They got antiques and cheese.
Antiques and cheese. Check that out. Alright, we have exhausted that one. Then there was also lakefront for sale, which I don't know, I found that funny. Especially because the lakefront that they're selling is near the Wisconsin Dells, which is nowhere near Milwaukee. In fact, it even says it's 2.5 hours from Milwaukee.
They just like their big flag.
You have big wide open space. You could buy a lakefront home from them for $200,000, but you still have to do all of the work on the inside. Or for $330,000, you can have walls. That restaurant was significantly less interesting. Sorry. There's this distinct thing about like all of the streets. Like there's a lot of lanes to the streets.
Yeah.
And then the buildings, like I just looked and there was a McDonald's and a Wendy's and a whatever. And they had a ton of space around them. So you like drive between all of them. It's just these like, takes up a lot of physical space. I think that's what makes it look different, because even in like Cascade, stuff's kind of together, closer together. And we don't really have, like even 28th Street's just 2 lanes, right? Like it's 3 lanes right at the big intersection. It's basically 2.
28th Street.
Yeah.
2 lanes on both sides. Yeah.
But like at the Beltline 28th Street intersection, that's 3 lanes. But that's just for the intersection.
Yeah.
Even the Beltline is 2 lanes. There was a brochure for a house on the Rock, which we mentioned. Yeah. And I noticed a bunch of signs on the side of the road about different Frank Lloyd Wright stuff. But as we mentioned yesterday, he was born in Wisconsin.
The Jelly Belly Factory.
Ah.
I've done the tour there.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a flashback of nostalgia. Let's go. We got to ride this little tram around the Jelly Belly Factory, and then we got a little free bag of Jelly Bellies.
Alex Jordan used to explain the sprawling creation by saying that one thing just sort of led to another.
And then you could buy just the flavors by
Oh, yeah.
the pound. And my mother, who loves the butter popcorn, bought like 2 pounds of that,
Ugh.
which is like the disgusting flavor.
Yeah.
But she always seemed to be like, well, you guys don't like it, so obviously I'm gonna like it. So liking it, like, I don't know if she really liked it or just forced herself to like it because we didn't like it. So she knew we weren't gonna eat it all.
The Mall of America used to have a Jelly Belly store, and it had the same thing where you could go in and just, it had those big chutes.
Yeah.
You could just fill it up. And I had never heard of Jelly Belly before that moment. But then at one point, somebody gave me a one of those red candy dispensers where you put a quarter in and you turn it.
Yeah.
And it was filled with Jelly Bellies. And I can't really stomach eating them after that.
Overdid a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, like 20 years ago, and I still want to eat a Jelly Belly.
Wow.
Just thinking about it makes my teeth hurt and makes my stomach hurt. But you know what it was? They had a wild cherry flavor.
Yes, that was like the best. Let's see if I can do this, maybe.
What is Batman doing?
I'm trying to get my jacket off. Without killing
Did we miss it again, or is there no welcome to Illinois sign?
Well, we're just now got to exit the water.
Yeah, which is the state line.
Oh, we thought we missed the Wisconsin one, but then it ended up being like a little sign off the side of the exit.
I've specifically been watching for this, and I didn't see one. But we went from exit like 350 something.
Oh, there it is, coming up.
Okay, okay. Welcome to Illinois in Lake County.
Land of Lincoln.
The land of Lincoln.
Lincoln. Chicken dumplings. I don't know if that makes it sound good.
I don't want to eat a yumpling.
I don't either.
That kind of sounds like a small child.
Or some small child-esque being like a hot
like a tiny chicken.
munchkin or something.
Yeah.
Alright, we're still aiming for Chicago, Indiana, right? Yeah. Oh, there's a toll.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're taking 94 for now.
Yep.
So we're not taking 94 for very long. We're gonna get up to 294.
Okay.
I had my iPass that doesn't work on rental cars. Ah. Sorry about that.
That seems so silly that they wouldn't let you use it for rental cars.
You have to,
You have to like link a license plate to it or something.
yeah, you have to link the license plates and some registration information, and you have to give it 24 hours to do its thing, which is kind of annoying. I don't know how much this truck weighs. The sign said speed limit for trucks over 6 tons.
I don't know, 6 tons.
You have 3 tons of leather. Actually, it was more like 3.5, I think.
Yeah, 3.5.
I did the math, but I was pretty tired when I was doing it. And that doesn't mean I did the math wrong, it just means I don't remember what I did. This is very beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice to see blue skies too.
It is. We are not supposed to have any rain today.
All right.
It's supposed to be pretty chill. That you can actually see it from the highway. Like, you can.
I think that I'm pretty sure it's kind of done intentionally.
It is, but like Cedar Point is tucked away from the main transport arteries.
Right.
Like, you can see Cedar Point from the road, but you have to have already gotten off the road to go to Cedar Point,
right,
or something in Sandusky. I know when we moved to Indiana, everybody was like, Cedar Point is amazing, and I had never heard of it before. And the big, like, Midwest roller coaster activity that I was personally familiar with was the Six Flags that we're going to pass. It said 3 miles. I feel like this is a really long 3 miles. Also, the road is back. What's up with the little white fence? It's kind of quaint. I think it's a horse farm. Grand Avenue is the exit that you take to go to Cedar Point.
Six Flags.
Yes, Six Flags, I'm sorry.
How did we're in Ohio? What happened?
I didn't tell you, I'm sorry. I moved them. Six Flags. Yeah, as I'm sure you can imagine, in the middle of summer, this gets very congested.
Right. But like, man, why is this like 4 lanes wide? It's like, probably Six Flags.
Well, and this is busier than I think it was yesterday when we were coming through. Because it was pretty chill.
Yeah.
Giant water slides. Those look like fun. I was reading about a water park in New Jersey that used to exist that was apparently quite dangerous. Like, not 1 or 2 people died, but 7 or 8 people died. There we go, Six Flags. I hope you can see it.
see one flag.
But it's definitely an exciting thing to pass in the middle of summer because it will be roller coasters actually doing their thing. It's also quite envious if you're stuck in non-stop traffic up here and not moving much, and you get to just watch people having fun instead of having fun. They do run this into October, but clearly it's too early for such activities.
Sometimes you'll see like they gotta do their test runs.
Right? Just kind of wake up. I think that might start at like 8. There's one airplane. There's 2 airplanes over there. In case you didn't figure it out, we're next to O'Hare. Oh, I see a couple more. I'm sure it's kind of hard to see from here, but O'Hare is giant.
Yeah, there's 2 more. Right?
Yeah, I see 2 over there, and then there were 2 over here. And of course, there's Midway, which is not next to O'Hare, but it is in Chicago, and a lot of times when circling over, I've noticed when landing in Midway, we go past O'Hare, like we'll fly over it. Somebody inevitably makes some joke about how, hey, we could just go here instead. I don't remember how close to O'Hare we get driving past. I'm not trying to talk to you, Siri. Just trying to do my job.
This one's like right there.
Yeah. That is cool. So you're gonna want to keep left.
Okay.
Really see what's on the viewfinder, so I'm doing my best.
I have that issue when he's flying his FPV planes or anything like that. I just aim and hope for the best.
I don't know what would make it better if we got like little anti-glare stickers for it, maybe.
I just need a little set of sights on the camera. It's image.
My camera has a level in the middle with a circle, and you just kind of aim the circle towards the general location of what you want and hope for the best, but then you just level it out and you're good. Hey, we found the red part. I have stayed at some of these hotels. I like that billboard.
Yes. So true.
Oh, Village of Rosemont. I went to a convention in that building. Or one of the ones under there. But it was right across from the airport. Ooh, there's a big plane. Where?
I said, oh yeah.
I could watch these for hours.
Right.
Like, it makes it a little bit better that we're stuck in traffic. We were going slow enough that I've actually been racking up kilometers in Pokemon.
Found the system. Found how to beat it. Just drive really slow through Chicago traffic every morning. You'll get those eggs hatching.
I will frequently, when I come into work, turn it on to set it face down on the other seat, because driving through downtown to get to work, it'll be just like stop and go, stop and go. I can usually crank out 1 or 2 kilometers from it. I walk a lot. I don't feel guilty about this. I would not paint that. Yeah. I once had to get to O'Hare, so I drove here and I encountered traffic like this, and I also encountered an empty gas tank. And I pulled into the big parking lot with 0 miles to go on my gas tank, and also 2 minutes to go before I had to check in at the airport. So I got on the shuttle and I ended up getting there like 5 or 6 minutes late, but I have a pre-check, so I didn't have to go through the big hassle of the lines. I went through the little hassle of the lines. But it was one of those, like, everything I had just depleted all at once, and I got to O'Hare. And then I kind of forgot about it, and when I got back from my trip, I then had to see if I had enough juice in the car to get to the first gas station I could find.
Did you make it?
I did. But I was wondering if AAA would be able to go through the gate, the economy parking lot. I didn't want to.
I'm sure they got to do it all. You know, I'm sure there's like batteries they got to jump from time to time. Stuff like that.
I'm sure it's a relatively common thing to do, but I was also really not interested in discovering that.
You didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Really didn't want to. Oh, that cool. My worst object I hit while driving also happened in Chicago.
Yeah.
And that door on the truck gave me flashbacks.
Oh, was it? Oh, it was. I remember you telling me about hitting the door.
Yeah. I was on this road, but it was moving really fast, and I was going into town, not out of town. And this was my literal first time driving in Chicago by myself, and I was in the 1-ton van, and I had no choice but to just keep going, and there was one of those doors that had ended up in the road facing upwards, and I turned it into door confetti. Didn't even scratch the van. Oh my god, there's indoor skydiving!
Let's do it.
This truck really doesn't want you to merge.
Yeah, I know. But we gotta pay the toll.
I know, man. Your blinker's on, right? Because
This truck will be nice. Maybe.
I don't... No, he's not being nice.
He really isn't.
No, he's not. If we absolutely have to go through it, you can.
Okay. Maybe I'll get over there.
Because I can pay it online. Alright, he is giving you room. Kind of want to say thank you, food truck. Do you want to get over one more, or is this where you want to be?
I'm pretty sure this is where I need to be.
Okay, because I didn't catch that.
I just showed cash to the right, so I just want to make sure. Cash.
Hey, look, more trains. I could totally go for ice cream right now. I wouldn't go any further right. There's some planes. You can kind of see O'Hare. Plane leaving. If possible, I'd like to hit that O'Hare Oasis.
Okay.
If it's not possible, it's cool. That was an extraordinarily unclear.
Right.
Hey, look, exit only.
Alright,
I have to pee. Sorry. I woke up and got some caffeine in me. Now I gotta pee.
See, this truck's got that kind of weird mirror on the side. I wonder if it's like for cops or something. These cops usually come up on passenger sides of trucks nowadays, and maybe they will.
I don't know.
Just this magic mirror.
I heard that they're closing this. Yeah, it looks like there's no, yeah, the pavilion is closed, but I'm hoping that there's a restroom inside.
Yeah, it's in the gas station.
In 800 feet, merge onto I-294 South. In 700 feet, merge onto I-294 South.
Thanks. Well, at least there's some parking.
Yeah.
Check out these trains. So it's right next to the airport. Clearly a lot of this has to do with things coming in at the airport and then getting shuffled over here, or it comes here and then it gets shuffled into the airport. And we're not right next to the water, but the trains do go right up to that. So you would have a shipping container that goes, you know, through the water, gets picked up there, gets brought here, and then gets put on a train to go further in. We are just trudging through some of the more boring parts of the outside ring of Chicago. We went through downtown yesterday because there was a huge delay on this route, and then this morning there was a huge delay on the other route, so we're taking this one. So there aren't, like, we're not near any of the tall buildings or anything like that. We're just kind of in suburbia, industrial suburbia, for a while. So I always see this from the air when we're like circling to get to the airport, but I don't usually get to see it from here. I think it's kind of amazing that there's this giant quarry just like stuck in the middle of the sprawling Chicago.
Yeah, and it's on either side of the highway.
Yeah, I can't see it from.
Make up your mind, Jeff.
Who are you honking at?
The guy in front of you started slowing down and swerving out of the way.
Exit
1075.
Exit 0. Are we really that far over? We are. This car, man.
At least everyone's slowing down in front of him this time, but like just earlier he started fucking slowing down and not sure what he was doing.
You don't want to be in these lanes. Yeah, this one's fine. To exit 161, which is right next to each other. There's always something that I found really confusing. That the exit numbers just reset in the state. Hoping there'd be something interesting to see. I have the United Motel. There's an IHOP.
It just goes along with my theory that Indiana is just boring.
The crossroads of America.
It's boring.
It is how you get from one state to another state. I mean, there's some interesting parts of Indiana, but we are not in it.
Right.
We are not near it. I think this week in Fort Wayne, it might have been last week, there'd be the Johnny Appleseed Festival. You okay there, buddy?
Just fine. Just had to stop at the palace. I almost hit my head.
I saw that. We almost had a Batman-shaped hole at the top.
My head, it poked the little nub on my hat just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a touch.
Sticker says All American Recycling Scrapper. Here we go.
There we go. That's
all right. I'm glad I was waiting just a little bit. I almost gave up. See, crossroads of America. Welcome to Indiana. Neil Armstrong went to school in Indiana. He went to Purdue. Which is in West Lafayette.
I forget Purdue is in Indiana.
It is. Purdue is in Indiana. It is based out of West Lafayette, Indiana, and they have some branches throughout the state.
It might throw me off because I have a lot of friends who went to Purdue in Michigan. They're from Michigan, went to Purdue.
Oh, okay.
So I always just forget that it's actually Indiana.
Yeah. I'm an alumni. also not super easy to get into.
Festival.
Hello.
But they're heavy.
I wonder if they're heavier than we are.
Probably. That's already shipping, I guess.
The guy driving it was just slamming a Mountain Dew.
Right.
I know the feels. We are once again approaching Hammond, Indiana. Woo! Woo!
A lot of popo out today.
Yeah, there's been a lot the whole trip.
That one's at least another accident. There's been a couple where it's like broke down or accidents.
Well, on this stretch of road, if you have an incident like that, you're supposed to call the police.
Up. I don't think they made it to the inspection site.
Yeah, if you like call AAA from here and say, hey, I broke down on the side of the road, I'm on 294 in Hammond, they'll be like, okay, so we're calling 911 for you. And they'll have a cop hang out with you while the tow truck gets here. Because they don't want someone to not pay attention and hit you.
Right.
And they want to make sure that you're not being dumb and you're saying like, oh, I swear I pulled off to the side of the road. They want to make sure that's real. Because different people have different ideas of the side of the road.
Right.
Or, you know, if you pulled over to the side of the road because your GPS told you to park.
Park on 40. Be prepared to park on 41.
We used the GPS yesterday to go to IKEA, and we were on 41 South, and it appears to be a rather new facility with a rather new road, but there's interchanges right before and right after it, so I don't know what their problem was, but the GPS just stopped us and said, be prepared to pull over to the side of the road and walk to your destination. And it was 100% wanting us to just pull off to the side of a highway and then hop the highway and walk to
There was an
IKEA.
exit like right there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There was an interchange immediately before and immediately after.
Right.
And we could have just gotten off, which is what we did. We got off on the one right before it and just came around, and it was super easy. And even if you wanted us to walk to our destination, why would you not have us walk from a city street? Not the side of a 3-lane highway.
Let's have a plan.
I filed a bug report on that last night.
Do your part.
And we are now approaching Gary, Indiana. Also known as the Stinky City. Gary, Indiana, Hammond, and South Bend are all very industrial. They do a lot of processing for things like coal and steel and gravel. I think gravel manufacturing is kind of a thing here. So they're just known as being stinky.
I remember once taking an exit at Gary, Indiana to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
That was a big mistake.
My personal rule book is you can pull over in Hammond, and if you don't, you get to wait to Portage or Michigan City. Those are the 3 safe spots on this stretch of Indiana. Gary is very run down, and the city itself is just smelly, and not every gas station that you will pass is open.
Yeah. I remember going to like one of the bigger gas stations that had like a restaurant, and like, yeah, we'll grab a quick lunch, and everyone's got a pee, so we'll just stop. And, yeah, I had never seen one like that. Like everything was just run down.
Yeah, it's not uncommon to have, like, the bathroom is closed because it hasn't been repaired in 5 years.
Right.
Or
Actually, I think it was that TA right there. Which the sign looks like it's been updated, so maybe
That does look newer. It would,
I remember like, oh hey, there's Taco Bell and Pizza Hut. We can do that.
I would not eat at a Pizza Hut there.
Lessons were learned.
Yeah, it just suffered the blight that happens when you have some very mission-specific industries,
Right.
and then those industries either die off as an industry or move somewhere else.
Right.
And there was not a lot of diversity in the economy here, so when everything just like leaves,
Right.
you are stuck without a lot of choices, and some businesses either will close outright or just kind of stop putting the big effort into it. It gave me instructions. What were they?
In 8.2 miles, continue onto I-94 east toward Detroit.
So you're gonna take 94 for a little bit, and then it turns into 196, I think.
Okay.
I also think we're outside of the tolls. I think. There might be one left, but I don't think so. So when the guy at Penske called, he's like, are you still looking for a truck to drive to Wisconsin? No. That need of mine was met. Thank you. These are pretty. I like that they are letting the stuff on the side of the road just grow. Like, it doesn't really benefit anybody to mow that. I think it's better for the ecosystem to just maintain some wild lands.
All well and good, so you gotta be the guy who's gonna fish a car out of that 8 feet of grass.
But that looks like it's wetlandish anyway, so I'm not sure how much of a difference it would make.
So, speaking of driving off the road, the 90, they just redid both sides of 96 there by my house.
Oh yeah,
The one they especially redid the 131 North exit, which has just been a nightmare. They extended it like another, I don't know. They extended it a lot, so you had almost like a whole half mile to merge instead of like the 10 feet you used to have to make a decision. And someone still managed. They had nice new guardrails in and everything, and someone still managed to break the sign and end up going right between the two spots. They don't have like the guardrails completely touching.
yeah.
Managed to nick the one and could still go all the way down that ditch. It's like, I don't understand.
That's pretty drunk, man.
It was like middle of the day, but still, yeah. I just like, they give you all the time to make the decision how to merge over which way. So everyone who's coming from north trying to get on the eastbound, get off and you can get on with plenty of time. It's well labeled. Someone still managed to fuck it all up.
I don't like that a lot of the on-ramps and off-ramps here are so short.
Yeah, that's kind of
In Germany, they are made so that you go from the speed you are on to the speed you need to be, and however long that needs to take. So if you're going like 30 on a city street and then you're on the highway that's 70, you have enough room to get up to 70 easily. And if you're on the highway, you have enough room to get down to 30. And you don't have to do any crazy braking, turning, none of that exit 50-mile-an-hour nonsense.
right.
You just ease into it. It's much safer. It's made me very picky about them here.
Oh, we're back to our lawyer signs.
Yep. This stretch of highway has a ton of attorney signs. A lot of them have to do with either child support or accidents
Or apparently lung cancer.
and lung cancer.
We're going to sue the cancer cells.
There's also this unique stretch of road that is well known for having a lot of vasectomy billboards. But you see that going into Chicago, not coming out of it. I was almost gonna miss it again.
I was about to tell you.
Were you?
Yes, maybe.
Maybe you didn't show signs that you had something to share. It's 10:41.
10:41.
But I have to say that I'm like in this weird, I'm not entirely sure what time it is. Welcome to Pure Michigan. Woo!
Yeah, feels about right.
Welcome home.
Pure Michigan.
Oh yeah. Casino, train station, rest stop, the lighthouse. It's just all packed into one on a bumpy road. This is what I was talking about earlier when I told you about my memories of driving into Michigan. Just welcome. We are 111 miles away. Woo! Ah. Ah. That was super fun.
Yeah.
We got pulled over. There was a weigh station, and we've pulled into weigh stations before, and they're like, "Fool, why are you here?"
Right, yeah.
But this state trooper told us that he usually pulls non-U-Hauls over because, like a budget Penske or Ryder, which is what we're in, tend to be
Full-on companies.
yeah, like FedEx will have a truck breakdown, and so they'll rent one of these for the day. So we've had deliveries come that way before.
Right.
So it's somewhat unusual for a personal load to be in a rider, and we're not required to go through them because we're not hauling stuff for other people.
Right, and we're also non-profit.
Well, nonprofits could technically, I think, do transport for hire,
Probably, I guess.
but as our own organization going to get stuff for ourselves, we don't
Right.
have to. So even if we weren't a nonprofit, but we were just picking up, like if we were a machine shop and we sent somebody down to Elro to get stuff,
Yeah.
that's their own stuff.
Right.
So I think we were only pulled over for like 5 minutes.
Right, an officer was really cool. He just wanted to clarify. Everybody's happy.
So we've now decided to make a new protocol because I brought stuff with us explaining who we are and what we do, but I gave it to the people that we met with. So I think we're just going to keep a little folder of those for spares.
Right.
Because I only brought one copy, that's all I needed.
Right.
Whew.
Yeah, if we're going to be using Riders or Penske's more often, yeah. Seems like a good idea.
It does. And maybe we can make a little brochure that just talks about like our process of picking donations up. That might be something useful to give to potential donors anyway. So we are
We're in Michigan.
we're in, well, we already covered that.
Yeah, we are.
Yep. We are just north of New Buffalo. I can't read that sign on the water tower.
Neither can. It's a weird name.
It is. I am having Chickaming Township.
There are not a lot of vowels.
Right? That's what I was like, is that C-H-I-K or is there just no I?
There are eyes. It's just hard to see the eye blending in.
I've never heard of that, so that's interesting.
Welcome to Chickamee Township.
Hooray.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
The look on his face when he's like, what's in the truck? You're like,
Lots
leather. What, the whole truck? You could just see he would. I think half the reason he didn't do anything is he really didn't want to write up a ticket about that.
Right.
What do you do with the leather? Well, you.
Well, officer.
You see, I have to make 6 million postage stamp squares with them,
Right.
which is kind of the ball game. Okay.
It's a little windy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So he was struggling there for a second. Now I feel a little bit too. It's quite.
We are really close to the water.
Yep.
I always feel cheated on this section of road because we're so close to the water, but you can't see it. So it's not like it's a beautiful drive.
Right.
But this area is also just so flat that it would be unfair to stick the road right there.
Right.
Whereas in some other places you can have, like you're on a hill, so you're at the top of the hill, you get to look over the coast to the water. That's what I got to see in Portugal. It was really pretty. Because I'm still like a quarter or half mile away from it, but I'm looking now. So we're just gonna keep trudging through. Maybe we should stop at the next way station. We're on 196, 31, which is the highway that goes through Grand Rapids.
Continue
Woo!
on 196 East.
The sign said Grand Rapids. So, one of the things I like when driving is to be able to have that whole,
For 44 miles, continue straight.
I recognize the big city on the sign and I'm going towards it, and it's like this big accomplishment. And you know, as soon as your final destination is up on the sign, it's like, okay, I can get in that mindset.
Right. Feels good.
I can do it. You know what absolutely drove me crazy in England?
You don't have that so much.
They don't do that.
Oh.
It'd be like signs for the next 2-3 towns, and it's, you know, like 5-6 away. You're like, I don't really care what's right in front of me because I'm driving all the way across.
Right.
And I'd like to know what's further down. I don't know if they've changed it since I was paying attention to the road signs there last, but it drove me absolutely nuts. What are we passing? You'd think I'd have these memorized,
Right.
but I don't.
South Haven is next.
South Haven, all in Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids machine repair. He's way minimum.
I always find this an interesting drive because we very nearly drive the entire length of 196.
Right.
Because we start on it starts here,
Right.
and then it ends basically by the airport
Right.
in Grand Rapids. So we don't go quite to the end, but we within like 5 miles or so. So with that said, we're just gonna do it. We've got, it says an hour 6 minutes.
Sounds alright.
Yeah, for the speed that we're hauling at. We'll do our best. I seem to catch it as soon as you start singing.
I know, like I'm jamming out, having a good time. She's like, I'm a blog.
I'm gonna vlog. I was actually gonna vlog because we're basically there.
We are basically there.
And in the past when we have vlogged and we didn't actually wrap up,
We didn't
and like
really seem to.
we just get there and hand off the camera and it's like, figure the rest out with context.
Right.
So we're basically there. We're at past Market. We're like less than 10 minutes away.
Right.
And apparently there are people waiting for us. I'm not too surprised. And we're gonna unload and then bring back the truck and we're done.
Hey there, guy.
Hey, look, more trains. These trains go to the other trains we saw all the time. So it's 2 o'clock, so that I had originally estimated that we would arrive between 12 and 2. I'm not sure why we ended up being on the longer end of that, but that's okay.
It's this truck.
This truck just
Blame the truck.
wasn't really pushing it. Okay, well thank you all for going to Wisconsin with us.
It was a blast. So much cheese.
We really didn't have that much cheese.
No, we really didn't.
Nor did we see that much cheese.
That is also true.
Nor did we see that many cows. I like, step up your dairy game,
Right,
Wisconsin.
I think I saw more cows in Indiana than I did in Wisconsin.
Agree, and we were in Indiana for like 2 hours put together.
Right.
I expect better
Right.
of the cheese state.
Maybe they just don't keep their cows right next to the giant CO2 factory of the highway.
Indiana does.
Right. There's our cute skyline that keeps growing.
You can kind of see it from here. I'll keep this rolling while we go around. So you
I say we're about to hit that sweet spot.
yeah, my favorite spot. Where I always really wish that I could just pull over
You take
and
pictures.
take pictures.
Right.
So now that my GPS tells me that that's an option, I might just start doing
Right,
it.
you might just, yeah, we can just pull over.
Just bear with me. You get to see cool stuff again, but you have to suffer through the trees. If I'm suffering, you're suffering. That's how we do this. Remember, we're taking lane.
Right, yeah. I don't ever try to fucking merge that way.
Every once in a while, I'll space it. And then the next thing I know, I'm getting off at Ann Street. So check this view out. It's pretty sweet.
And this is that view I had where it was like golden with the double rainbow perfectly going across. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's a little easier from different angles, but I'm a bit limited